Okay, I think we're now connected. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're having a wonderful end of 2021 and that you're feeling optimistic about the coming year, which starts in a few days, and that all's going well for you. I just want to make sure you are very safe because people are doing all kinds of things. In 2021, we saw that Alex Jones and his wife allegedly into a big brawl on Christmas Eve, and she was trying to hit him with some sort of bat, and then she was trying to throw a huge sculpture rock at his head, and he says it narrowly missed. He was afraid for his life. Now these are all in the reports, and he did call the police. The police came, they found the rock that he said was thrown, and she was not compliant with the arrest and getting into the car and so forth. So she was charged. She's out on bail, that's according to the report, and so he blamed it on a problem with her medications. Now, what does medications mean? Different in different families. What does medication, I think I lost the sound there for a second, but what does medication mean? It's different in different families, and it could be alcohol, it could be psych meds, it could be other things, but he blamed it on her medication imbalance, and that's why she was trying to kill him. But someone else suggested that maybe it was infidelity. Maybe he was out celebrating and was being with other women, or maybe stayed out all night, who knows. But anyway, that's one situation. You know, people are trying to kill each other this Christmas season, and I hope that's not the scene in your home. I hope you're not having those kinds of problems and that things are going well. And take a deep breath. You know, it's been a stressful 2 years. All kinds of things have happened, and I know that you have experienced things, some of which are dreadful, some of which may not be as bad, but whatever it is that has latched onto you in 2020, 2021, maybe magnifying other problems that you've had in previous years, or maybe creating new problems that you never had, never experienced before, and now in 2021, you're having this new problem that you have to deal with, which is just putting a real impact on your life. You know, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Life is full of ups and downs, miserables. One family, the son on Christmas morning came in, shot the dad in the back, shot the mother in the head, didn't kill them, but they're in the hospital. And, you know, from your son. Who in the world does that to their parents? And on Christmas, what in the world could they have been fighting about? That would have made a son. This is an older guy too. I mean, this is not some little kid. This is some big adult who shouldn't even be in the house. Did this to his parents. And that was Christmas. So I don't want to go on with any bad stories, but I do have to cover Ghislaine Maxwell. She finally was found by the jury to be guilty of a number of crimes, but they did find that on one, as far as enticing the girls to get on the plane and taking them to be used for sex in other places, they found that she was not guilty of that. Now that, although they got everything else right, they got the other, 11 or so charges correct, that one was very important, and I think they got that wrong. She was definitely guilty of meeting the girls, enticing them to come with her, to enter into this life, and trafficking them on the plane, the Lolita Express as they called it. You know, even the name, the Lolita Express. You know, what does that tell you? And then taking them to places within the United States and outside in international waters where they were doing all kinds of things to and with the girls. And, of course, grooming them, training them how to be sexual with adults and old men. Even said that they took one 14-year-old girl to meet President Trump. Now, why does President Trump want to meet a 14-year-old blonde girl? What does he have in common with this child? A stranger, not one of his friend's kids, just random kid. These two pedophiles bring in there with they knowing, and you know Trump knows everything about everybody. He checks on them. He knows they have the Lolita Express. He knows a lot of his friends have used this for sex. In fact, he referred to Epstein and the Lolita Express and Ghislaine in one of his speeches when he spoke to the Boy Scouts. He talked about one of his friends that had a very interesting relationship with kids. He was telling this to young boys, and he was laughing and so forth. So he knew why he was meeting this young 14-year-old. And I'm sure, I don't know for sure, but I'm sure in my mind that she was performing on him. She was, in fact, there is a complaint filed by one of the girls when she was first accusing Donald Trump of abuse, and she used Donald Trump's name, and she even said in that complaint, as I remember, when she was suing him, that he had even threatened to kill if the word got out that this was happening. So these girls were under a lot of stress, and their lives were even endangered, according to that complaint that I read. But anyway, at least they finally got Ghislaine held legally liable, convicted on the other complaints, and got it wrong on the trafficking, because she's definitely, you know, I feel in that trafficking realm too, and I think by all of connecting the dots, they should have come up with that. But there was just so many things. They had so many issues, so many people. You couldn't put all of that in a trial. The trial would have lasted for 2 years. There was just too much. So they took a sample of the kids. They took a sample of the things that were happening. They had pictures. They had log books. They had if the pilot kept a log. You know, they have to keep a log, because if those planes crash, they have to know who was on the plane so they can notify their families. So they keep a log, they write it down, and they also report to the airports who in the world is on those planes, because if something happens, the log book might be burnt, might go up in smoke, and they have to have some kind of record as to who they need to contact, that that flight went down and such and such a person is injured or dead. So they had a lot of things showing this whole enterprise, and she should have gotten it on all counts. And unbelievably, a lot of those counts only have a maximum of 5 years. It shows how little we value our children when you say you can traffic kids, and not just one kid. The law says kids, and you maximum that you can get is 5 years. So a lot of the counts are only 5 years, and so she's not going to do, you know, the young man who was driving a truck at 80 miles an hour was given 110 years when 2 people were killed. We don't know if children were killed in this whole enterprise. We don't have any record of that. Of course, that would not be in a logbook. But how many children are missing is not reported. Are they just assumed to be out there on their own, or do people in any way suspect that they have been killed because they were complaining or talking about telling on these very high-profile people that were involved in this pedophilia? Andrew is still fighting. You know, it shows the Queen is always walking next to Andrew, one of her favorite sons. And although she can complain about Meghan, who has her own problems with the Queen, but I mean, she's willing to show extreme closeness to Andrew, who has extreme connections to this Epstein pedophilia enterprise. It's really, really sad. The other thing is Epstein really dead. You know, when they wheeled Epstein out from that prison and they claimed he was dead and they had a picture of his face and he was lying on his back, I've seen people who are dead and they normally have a look, a dusky look. Epstein did not have that dusky look on his face when he was rolled out. He probably was given some type of tranquilizer or something else, wheeled out and taken to a safety place, and he could have recovered, gone on with his billions of dollars to live out his life elsewhere and never be reported. He was buried in secret, and his brother was very upset about that, and I think his brother eventually tried to get involved with the burial and so forth, but that was very bizarre. So the question is Epstein really dead? Or did he just pay off the inmates, the custody people, and so forth, and get out of the United States territory because no one else is charging him for anything? In fact, he could probably go pal around with the Queen. When you look at how she's treating Andrew, he might be living in the castle. Who knows? So we'll see what Ghislaine gets. I think they said that she'll probably get around 60, 65 years. And when you've made billions of dollars off these kids and had many, many connections with very influential people around the world because you were servicing them with young children, 65 years isn't much. You should get the 110 years the truck driver was going to get. But I don't know why they had this at Christmas. You know, they could have had this trial in the beginning of the year when we weren't really trying to bring so much happiness and joy and get over 2021. But anyway, this is the news we have at this Christmas time. But I hope that we can move on. Of course, we'll have to go through the another bit of this trial as we hear what her sentence is. But I hope we all do better. I hope we all do better in the next year, 2022. And I hope you're with people you love and people who love you and that you're doing great. I love you. I wish you the best. Take care, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.